Woody, James Woody Woodruff, how are you doing?
I am doing well, Daniel. How are you?
I'm doing as well as can be expected in the situation, right? That's what it's been since March. It's like that's our response to everything. Well, at least in the situation, I'm doing great. Yeah, and we end every conversation with "Be safe." And you're in Minneapolis, right, or St. Paul right now, right? Correct, St. Paul. So safe is kind of how is it? Is are you?
I live outside. I live north of St. Paul, so
Mhm.
I'm in a suburb, and they've boarded up because there's been it keeps going back and forth between, oh, there are the people who've been arrested have been out of town, to it's like, well, the people who've been arrested are still from here. um,
Mhm.
but there's been fear of looting in
Mhm.
the suburbs, and there've been a couple where there was looting, but I think those are more crimes of opportunity rather than actually part of this.
I genuinely agree with you, and and
Yeah,
and I was talking to I've been talking to other people, and I'm of the same assumption that the bottom line is, if you want to truly undermine the movement, you infiltrate it, and
right.
I really think that white supremacists have made a point of going into these protests to undermine the credibility of Black Lives Matter, or the credibility of the protest. And the ones that are choosing to riot and the ones who are choosing to loot are not people that are associated with the protest. As a matter of fact, I've seen countless videos of protesters calling these people out, because
Right.
what they are trying to do is they're trying to foment unrest, and they're pushing for their long fantasized race war. That's what they
Yes.
want.
Yes.
They don't
All
care
day on
about.
Twitter,
Yeah.
I've been seeing people posting pics of cops flashing a white power sign,
Yeah.
and that it, even though I don't really, really, really want to believe that, I it's possible.
Yeah, well, I'm not now. Yeah,
Yeah.
in every group, there's a possibility of an a-hole. Okay,
Yes.
because honestly, one in every five people is, and I'm certain we can go back over our history and go, oh yeah, that was definitely him. That
Sure.
was
Sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
And and people, and it's really sad, and it breaks your heart, because as you become more of an adult, you start to realize just how flawed and broken some of the people are in our lives were. And
Well, I think that if you're a self-actualized adult,
yes.
you are able to see that. It's the problem is a lot of folks who choose not to see that.
Yeah.
That's a big part of the problem. It's like, and God bless the first responders and the police and the fire department who
Oh,
do.
absolutely. Yeah. And it's a clarification
They're
right there that
not
it is. Yeah.
all they are not all saints, and they're
No, none of us are, but the ones that actually have our priorities in order, the self-actualized people who have priorities in order.
yes, yeah. Um, I moved to Minneapolis in 1987, so I've been here for 33 years. And
Hmm.
when I moved here, one of the big things was the police department, and there were some issues with the police department back
Hmm.
30 years.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
They were talking about, for years they talked about having civilian review boards for uh, um, when there was a problem with the police, then a civilian would be, instead of having the police review it, they wanted
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
review board. So they did that. And then several years after that, I heard that with the civilian review board,
Hmm.
they were less likely to discipline the officer than had been had the police done the review.
That's interesting, because yeah, well, to a certain extent, well, obviously internal affairs with police departments,
Mhm.
that of course they hate those guys.
Right.
Because they're the ones who police the police, and they're never happy about that. And it's very frustrating, because you try to get people to understand that a bad cop is the greatest danger to a good cop there is,
Absolutely.
because
It's like when we were in the military, there were
exactly.
you did not want to be in a foxhole with. And they were, yeah, one of the things, having been in the military, one of the things that really just chaps my ass is when I hear people talk about all people in the military are heroes. No, they're not.
No, they're not. No, not in the least.
There are racists in the military. There are bad soldiers in the military. There are people that you were afraid to go to the range with.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was terrifying. And I was already, as I've told you before, I was to the military what Charlie Sheen is to sober living. So it was, and I wasn't even the worst of the lot. Okay, but there's it really and you cannot express the frustration because it's so difficult, because you have one small percentage of any group makes the rest look horrible. And,
Right.
you know, when you sit there and take into account something like Black Lives Matter, and you have a small percentage of people who take what is essentially a serious and important message about equal justice, and they mess it up. And then there are the people out there who are willfully intent on messing that message up. And that's what gets me every time. And then these are the people that end up getting the news, getting the cameras pointed at them for their outrageous behavior, taking away from the important message of the whole protest to begin with.
And they don't even, and I think that starts with, they don't even want to consider the message.
Yeah.
They don't want to consider the message.
The message is already the message. They don't even want to talk about the message anyway.
Right.
And another truly aberrant thing that I've seen going across the internet are the white people posting Martin Luther King, how he never protested, and how he never rioted and looted, and how he changed history. And it's like, he didn't riot, he didn't loot, and he was still a victim of violence and assassinated.
Yes. Yes. And
we are still dealing
today that in 1968,
yes,
Martin Luther King's approval ratings or disapproval among white people was 75%.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And so it took him being murdered for people to see him differently.
Exactly.
So there's that.
And and I think I brought you on obviously because you're a longtime friend, and we share high school and the military together. We've all we haven't actually talked. We've seen each other on Facebook, obviously, but it's important to see people such as ourselves addressing this issue, and actually addressing it in a way that is not condescending. It is not. And acknowledge, and it's two white guys, two old white guys acknowledging that there is a problem. Okay, not people who are actually saying, we see what's going on. Okay, and to let people know who are victims of this circumstance know that your pleas are not falling on deaf ears. There are people out there that hear and see this.
I have no frame of reference for what a person of color. I have no frame of reference to that.
Neither do I. Exactly.
I know that I have white privilege, and I know that white privilege I can go into a store and not have people watch me.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can go to a bank and I can get a loan without, with no
hoop jumping. No. Yeah.
I'm not redlined.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a frame of reference for that. I know that I have privilege. I know that because of the color of my skin, if I get pulled over, all I have to do is give the police officer my driver's license and insurance, and I'll be on my way.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about getting tased and yanked out of my car. We had and people's memories are so short, but we had another cop murder here in the Twin Cities. Just
Yeah, yeah.
Philando Castile.
Philando Castile, yes, I remember that very well.
But
He pointed out to the police officer that he had a legal firearm in his car. He went to go get his wallet, and he specifically told the cop, "I am reaching for my wallet." And what annoys me, and is your new mayor has worked to eradicate warrior training for your police officers. Your police officers are being trained, were being trained like they are mercenary soldiers rather than police officers. They've been paying for this, and this guy, I forgot what his name was, but and the police union fought him on it.
Yeah, that and that's one of the things. Minnesota has some, Minneapolis and St. Paul have some very, very powerful police unions.
Yes. Yeah,
That
and that,
while I am a union supporter,
oh yes,
it is this. The unions have been able to get some cops off with things that they should not have gotten off.
right.
They kept people from getting fired. The man who murdered George Floyd had, I've read it's anywhere between 12 and 19 complaints.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not had any discipline.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, it doesn't help that the picture that gets shown there is a picture of out and out defiance, daring you to do something about it. And again, that the situation is propagated again, and it is a continuing pot that continues to bubble over. And then people are sitting there like this is something new and fresh, and this has been going on our entire lifetimes.
Right. And the other thing that is really come to fore right now is, did you see the video of the lady in Central Park who called the police on the guy who told her?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. And she basically she damned herself. She bet her entire she mortgaged her entire future on her belief that her position in society was greater than that of the black man.
Right. And that goes back to, I heard somebody after the Ferguson shooting.
Yeah.
I heard a man on television say, if you call the police, you need to expect an armed response.
Yeah.
And that was just so eye-opening to me. It's like, oh my God, that's so true. It's like,
exactly. Yeah. Because they come in. Yeah.
Call the police on anything, whether it's somebody barbecuing in the park when they're not supposed to be, or somebody who's, the lady who's trying to show you can't talk to me like that.
Mm-hmm.
You are bringing an armed response to a situation, whether it's, whether it is somebody that is got their dog not on a leash, or they're doing something in the park they shouldn't be doing. Mm-hmm. It's still going to be an armed response when you call the police.
Exactly. You are bringing about a situation that is not going to end well.
Yeah. Well, there's always that potential.
Right. Exactly.
There's always that potential, and now that we have these, and everyone has them on, and everyone is getting, video for their Instagram, or
for the social media and doing everything else, and I've said this before, and it's actually been repeated by somebody else. We're not living in a more violent world. We're living in a more visible world.
Yes, absolutely.
And that is the ugliness of so many people is now coming to light, and it is up and it's up to us to make sure that nobody tries to put out that light.
Could you imagine, had there not been video of the lady in the park, had there not been video of her being on the phone, and you hear her tone change. It's like she starts acting.
Yeah.
She starts acting. It's like, as soon as you can tell, as soon as
the cop came on,
oh no, she's like bitching at this guy, rah, 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 and then all of a sudden she's like, oh no, there's an African American man who's threatening my life, and it's like, if that had not been there, what would have happened to that man when the police arrived?
Oh yeah, there is no telling what happens, and people fail to. I get people who And they send me numbers, and they're like, look, what more white people got killed by cops than black people, and the number for white people is about 400 some odd to 200 some odd black people. And I point out very quickly, I said, yeah, but there's 192 white people in this country versus 40 million black people. Now if you gave 192 million black people, how many, by exponentially, that how much would that number change? How
Well,
much?
but here's the thing. Let's take race out of it at all
Yeah,
altogether. There's Why are cops killing people?
exactly. Yeah,
It doesn't matter what color they are. Why are cops killing people? I mean, we
yeah,
have we have militarized our police force.
exactly. So we
And
were talking
like
about
you
that
say,
warrior training. Yeah,
just it's like if you call the police, you should expect an armed response. Whether you're white, black, Latino, Asian American, it doesn't matter. If you call the police, you're going to get an armed response.
yeah, and you
And the more militarized we make them, the more warrior training that we give them, the
yeah.
more that's how they're going to respond. It's like the old saying, if the only tool in your toolbox is a hammer, everything
Mhm.
looks like a nail.
Very well said. Very well said. Exactly. The mm. It's hard for me sometimes to articulate what I'm trying to get spit out of this head of mine, which is always it's always a challenge.
Yeah,
Uh,
me
but
too.
well, you're very kind, but you come across as very articulate, and so that's good, and that's very important, especially to let people know. See, I did have smart friends. Okay,
Well, yeah, yeah.
as he goes, no, tolerated acquaintance, Daniel. There was a difference, huge difference.
No, no, let me tell you. So this is your catch up section. And I was just trying to think. It's like I was trying to think, when was the first time we met? And I really can't, there's a lot of South Fulton High School that I've either destroyed the brain cells that those memories were in, or I've forgotten it because I wanted to. But I was trying to think, when did I meet you?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't pinpoint a specific time, but there are very few people from high school, because I mean, I had a graduating class of
Yeah.
5, something like that, right? There were like
No,
300 people in the whole of all of
and yeah, we had
300.
355 kids at South Fulton High School, and
Yeah,
we all had like a graduating class of between 60 and 80.
right, right. And so I just, it's like I can't remember specifically when we met, but
Mhm.
what I do know is that you made an impression on me, that I remembered you from high school. I mean, because there's still people, I will go back to my yearbook.
Yeah.
One of those things about Facebook is you'll see people on there that you went to high school with, and you're like,
Who's that?
do, do I remember? So I had to go back to the yearbook, and I go back to the yearbook. It's like, oh yeah, I know this person. But because the way
Mhm.
they look,
Yeah.
then I remember versus how they look now. You look the same. You look like you did in high school. I mean,
Wow. See, ugly is eternal.
I understand. I understand.
I
Um,
love that. And do you know why you remember me from high school?
yeah.
Trauma is forever.
Well, no, I remember you because, first of all, okay, several reasons. Okay, first of all, you were new and you were from Michigan, and down in Podunk, Tennessee, Michigan was like 1,000 miles away.
It was exotic.
Exotic, yeah, Michigan. Ooh, Detroit. Ooh. Then that damn last name.
Yeah, thank you. That's the way I usually refer to it. My damn.
900 letters in your name. What the hell is what? Why do you put an S and a Z together? That doesn't make any sense. Okay. And then the third reason is because you were funny, and it was, there were funny people there, but your level of humor was not the same as what was there. You were unique. You were novel. I appreciated your humor. And yeah, you were a couple of years behind me.
I was actually only a year behind you. You graduated in 82 and I graduated 83. Yeah.
Right. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why I'm denying that. I should have just let you go on with the fact that I was much younger than you rather than
much younger.
Much. I was much.
But you were a funny dude.
Well, thank
And
you. It's very,
so
very.
there were, I mean, there weren't a lot. Well, I cherish the memories I have of living there.
Yes.
But I knew from a very, very early age that as soon as I could leave, I would leave.
As soon as humanly possible.
As soon as humanly possible. Thank you, United States Army, for giving me the opportunity to get away from that place.
Yes.
It was, and I've been back there a few times. My mom passed away.
Oh, yes.
So there's no reason for me to go back. The few people who still live there that I do know, I am not in touch with. You remember Keith McDaniel?
I do.
He was someone I was in touch with. He passed away a few years ago.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
So there aren't that many people that really I stay in touch with. I think there's two people that I stay in touch with. Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, and unfortunately in the wake of so many things, there's people that I've had to cut ties with that from that era. And you're just, and you feel such disappointment. I think disappointment really is an all-encompassing feeling for me in a lot of people's cases. A lot of people that you hold with high regard, and you were so disappointed that your perception of them is now forever altered.
Exactly. Yeah. There are folks that there are folks from that era where it's like I really thought a lot of them. And their politics are completely different. And that doesn't stop me from, I have friends who have different politics than I.
Well, again, yeah.
But when it becomes a matter of
moral and social justice, when it comes to matters of moral and social justice, if you want to sit there and debate me about how we spend our tax dollars, that's fine. When you want to debate me when you want to sit there and talk about Black people being unpatriotic because they're taking a knee, which was recommended by a white U.S. Army Green Beret, yeah, we're going to have issues.
Yeah.
And that is just plain and simple.
Yeah.
And because it's not a political disagreement at that point. It is a moral disagreement. And that I would happily accept political disagreement. We can talk politics all day, but this is about a moral issue here. This is beyond, and the problem is, and again, church and state, is people that mix their morality with their politics.
And that's a huge problem.
That is a huge problem. Okay. You might recognize the problem of religion and the state in places like Iran that everybody is so quick to jump on,
Oh, theocracy?
A theocracy? Oh, I know.
Well, that's bad for those people,
but not for us.
We could do that. We could do that.
Yeah. See, it was
bad for everybody else.
Exactly. Anybody that doesn't share our particular beliefs. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a firm believer that this life is the universal equivalent of the fourth grade, and if we don't get it right, we're coming back to repeat. So, just a thought on my end. Anyway, Woody, it's good to see you, sir, and especially be safe. That's how we end all of our exchanges these days, isn't it? Be safe.
Be safe. Be well.
Be well. And be happy.
And just be.